Maura Murray was born May 4th, 1982 from Brockton, Massachusetts. She was a nursing student at the University of Massachusetts Amherst at the time of her disappearance. Before that, she had attended West Point. Here are the key events from that day she disappeared, February 9th of 2004. Earlier in the day, she emailed her professor saying she would be gone for a week, citing a death in the family. Later, the family said no such death had taken place. She withdrew about $280 cash from an ATM. She purchased alcohol, including a box of wine and other items at a liquor store. She possibly searched MapQuest for directions to the Berkshires in Massachusetts and Burlington, Vermont. Her car, a black 1996 Saturn, crashed on Route 112 in Haverhill, New Hampshire. A nearby resident called the authorities at 7:27 p.m. after seeing the car off the road. A school bus driver had passed, seen a woman walking around the car. When law enforcement arrived, the car was locked, airbags deployed, but Maura was nowhere to be found. Her family strongly believes she was a victim of foul play and does not believe she was meant to disappear or harm herself. They point to her collecting her father's insurance and accident forms, packing what she would need, and etc. Some people, including investigators and public speculation, have considered that her disappearance was voluntary or that she may have planned to run away, but her family contests that. Lauren Elizabeth Spearer, born January 17, 1991, grew up in Scarsdale, New York, and graduated from Edgemont High School in 2009. She enrolled at Indiana University in Bloomington to study fashion merchandising. She met close friends and her boyfriend, Jesse Wolfe, years earlier at Camp Towanda, a New York summer camp, forming the group that would accompany her during her time at IU. June 2nd through 3rd, 2011. On the night of June 2nd, 2011, Lauren texted Jesse saying she planned to go to bed, but instead went out with friends to Kilroy's Sports Bar in downtown Bloomington, using a fake ID and becoming visibly intoxicated. 12:30 a.m. Left her apartment with David Ron and went to Jay Rosenbaum's. 1:46 a.m. Entered Kilroy's. 2:27 a.m. Exited Kilroy's with Corey Rossman, leaving behind her phone and shoes. Around 2:30 a.m., arrived at her apartment building, the Smallwood Plaza. 2:48 a.m., went into an alley between College Avenue and Morton Street. 2:51 a.m., seen exiting the alley, walking toward an empty parking lot. Keys and purse were found along the way. Over the years, Lauren's parents have tirelessly kept her case in the public eye, offering rewards for information, making media appearances, and continuing to plead for answers. Christopher Tompkins. On the morning of January 25, 2002, Christopher went to work as usual. He was part of a 4-man survey crew working near Highway 85 in rural Harris County, Georgia. The group was walking in a line, each man spaced roughly 50 feet apart, as they conducted their survey in a wooded area. On the morning of January 25, 2002, Christopher went to work as usual. He was part of a 4-man survey crew working near Highway 85 in rural Harris County, Georgia. The group was walking in a line. Christopher was last in line. At one point, the man in front of him turned around and Christopher was gone. One of Christopher's work boots was found on top of a barbed wire fence. His tools and a bit of loose change were found on the ground nearby. Later, his other boot was found about 900 yards away. No blood, no signs of struggle, no obvious trail or disturbance. As of today, Christopher Tompkins remains missing. His case is unsolved and no remains have ever been discovered. On the morning of January 26, 1966, the 3 Beaumont children, Jane, Arna, and Grant, left home around 10 a.m. to take a 5-minute bus ride to Glenelg Beach. It was a trip they had taken before, and their parents considered it safe, especially since 9-year-old Jane was mature and responsible. Several witnesses reported seeing the children at the beach and nearby locations. They were seen playing and laughing with a tall, blonde, thin-faced man in his mid-30s. Later, they were seen walking away from the beach with the same man. That was the last confirmed sighting of the Beaumont children. The case changed parenting in Australia. Children were no longer trusted to go out alone, led to changes in police investigation procedures and public awareness. The Beaumonts never gave up hope. Jim and Nancy stayed in the same house for decades in case the children ever returned. Nancy Beaumont died in 2019. Jim Beaumont is still alive as of last reports, but lives privately. Brandon Swanson. On the evening of May 13th, 2008, Brandon was celebrating the end of his semester at Minnesota West Community and Technical College. He attended two small gatherings with friends in the towns of Canby and Lynn, Minnesota. Around midnight, he was driving home to Marshall, a roughly 30-mile trip. At 1:54 a.m. on May 14th, he called his parents and said he had driven his car into a ditch and needed a ride. Brandon told his parents he was near Lynn, a small town southwest of Marshall. He was unhurt, just stuck. He was going to walk toward Lynn and told his father to meet him there. His dad drove out to look for him. They stayed on the phone for 47 minutes while Brandon described what he saw as he walked: gravel roads, fences, and field lights. Suddenly, Brandon said, "Oh shit," and the call went silent. The next day, law enforcement found his car in a ditch near Taunton. Cell phone records later showed his last known signal was also in that area near Porter, well off from Lynn, about 25 miles from where Brandon thought he originally was. No physical trace, no clothing, phone, or remains have ever been found, despite searching roughly 122 miles over several years. Brandon Lawson. Brandon was a father of four living in San Angelo, Texas. He worked in the oil fields and was reportedly trying to turn his life around after past troubles, including drug use. On the night he disappeared, he had an argument with his longtime girlfriend, Ladessa Lofton, and left home abruptly. 11:54 p.m. Brandon leaves home after an argument with Ladessa. He tells her he's going to his father's house, 3 hours away. He had recently relapsed and many have taken meth. Brandon calls his brother Kyle and says he ran out of gas on Highway 277 near Bronte, Texas. He also says three are chasing me out of town. He sounds panicked. Brandon makes a 911 call to a local dispatcher in a confused, terrified voice. "Yes, I'm in the middle of a field. A guy's pulling some guys over. Right here, going toward Abilene on both sides. My truck ran out of gas. There's one car here. The guy's chasing through the woods. Please hurry." The audio is bizarre and difficult to decipher. He never clearly identifies himself. He mentions being chased, a guy with a truck, and "I need the cops." Kyle and a sheriff's deputy arrive at Brandon's abandoned truck. No sign of Brandon. The truck is unlocked and out of gas. His phone rings but goes to voicemail. Later that morning, Kyle receives a call from Brandon's phone, but the line goes dead. After that, there is no further communication. In February 2022, human remains were found roughly 3 miles from where his truck was abandoned, along with items confirmed to belong to Brandon. The cause of his death is still unknown. There was no signs of foul play found on the remains, but his final hours remain a complete mystery, especially the bizarre and frightening 911 call. Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370. MH370 takes off from Kuala Lumpur International Airport. Everything looks normal. The co-pilot radios to air traffic control. "Good night, Malaysian 370. This is the last confirmed communication. Just minutes after entering Vietnamese airspace, the plane disappears from civilian radar. Military radar continues to track the plane. It makes a sharp turn west, then flies back over the Malay Peninsula. It then turns again and heads southwest into the Indian Ocean. After that, no contact, no distress signal, no wreckage, nothing. Initial search was near Vietnam and the South China Sea. After satellite data was decoded, the search shifted thousands of miles southwest to one of the most remote ocean areas in the world. Despite over 200 million spent in the largest underwater search in history, the main wreckage has never been found. Daniel Robinson. Daniel Robinson was a 24-year-old field geologist. He graduated from the College of Charleston. He moved to Arizona after college to work in geology, often in remote desert areas. He was born with part of his right forearm and hand missing. Daniel left his job site, a remote desert location near Sun Valley Parkway and Cactus Road, without telling anyone why. He had been working that morning with a coworker. The coworker said Daniel was acting off, staring out into the desert, barely responding. Around 9:15 a.m., Daniel suddenly got into his blue 2017 Jeep Renegade and drove off. deeper into the desert, away from paved roads. He was never seen again. After the crash, data from the Jeep suggested someone turned the ignition many times after the airbags deployed. There was reportedly red paint on his Jeep that might have come from another vehicle, suggesting a collision before the wreck was found. Police did a large search. Over 70 square miles were searched using drones, cadaver dogs, ground teams, etc. At some point, a skull was found in that general area, but it was later determined not to be Daniel's. Daniel's father and a private investigator hired by the family believed that foul play may have been involved and that the crash site might have been staged. As of 2025, Daniel has not been found. His father, David Robinson, continues to push for the case to not go cold. He's been coordinating searches, pressing law enforcement, exploring leads, etc. There is a public attention and interest, partly due to the mysterious elements of his disappearance.